Welcome friends back to our YouTube channel. Our video this week is going to address some questions we keep getting around crop conditions, herbicide performance, and side dressing corn. Let me start off with current conditions. I know it's dry and stressful and it puts us in a bad attitude because we all want rain. And we know we need a rain, but let me just address a couple things. First of all, there are some issue fields out there. We've been looking at them. We've been on some of your farms this week. We know there's some replant situations in beans, and we've had a little bit of crusting, and nothing's perfect. No year is ever perfect. But I will say this, for the most part, we have a pretty even start. Even start is really important. We have a good start to the season. If we get a pattern change coming this weekend like they're implying by our friends at BAM Weather, that could really be a game changer for us, and we're hopeful that's going to happen. But I will say this, if it's going to be dry, it's a lot better to be dry early than it is to be dry late. We haven't lost yield potential yet, but we can remedy this situation so long as a pattern change comes. I want to highlight some important aspects on why I'm not concerned yet. And the reason is because for the most part, we have an even crop. Evenness means everything. If you look at this corn here, to grow stage corn, you count the collars. So the collar that wraps around the stalk. The plumule leaf is the first one, that counts as V1. The next collar that forms is V2. V3, we have this plant going on V4. If you notice, every plant down the line is the exact same growth stage. That's super important for our yield potential. We're seeing evenness in beans, we're seeing evenness in corn. So rest assured, we have a good potential if Mother Nature can cooperate with us. So way better to be stressed at this stage than it is at V6, V7 and beyond. Just bear with us as we move forward on this weather pattern. I know that several watching this have already began side dressing. Several watching this have made a big dent in their side dressing. So I want to talk about some different scenarios. First of which is anhydrous ammonia. We've had a lot of questions on, what do you think about anhydrous? Should I be going? Should I not? Here's the key on anhydrous with dry conditions. As long as you can seal, you're fine. If you're not sealing, you're in trouble and you're subject to loss. So if your toolbar is such that you are sealing behind your shank or your toolbar or your applicator, keep going. I have no problem to keep rolling in that scenario. If you're not sealing, then you might wait on a rain, let things improve, get some different ground conditions. And I know it's a lot to ask for, but that's just how ammonia will work against you if you can't seal that product. The next thing would be UAN, 28 or 32%. Here's my take on that. There's really kind of two scenarios, actually three scenarios if you throw in Y drops. So you have a Kohler with a knife, you have a Kohler inject, which is shooting the nitrogen behind the Kohler on top of the ground, or you might have a Y drop situation. Here's our position right now on dry conditions. If you have a knife and you're getting it in the soil and the soil is covering it and you see no dampness on top from the 28, in my opinion, you're fine. I'd keep on going, I wouldn't stop. If you run a Kohler inject to where it's injecting behind the Kohler and you see dampness on top of the ground, I would be cautious on that. Matter of fact, I would actually wait until we get closer to our next rain event, which is supposedly this weekend, or wait for a rain. If you see dampness on top with the low humidity we have, warm temperatures, and dryness, that is subject to loss. So just be very careful about that. Same with Y drops. If you're replacing your nitrogen with Y drops, I would actually drag my feet a little bit if you can, because you're placing that all on top of the ground, and it's in a risky scenario today. We've done a couple years of replicated nitrogen trials using stabilizers, and to be honest with you, the data is not that supportive to stabilizers. As long as you're getting it in soil conditions or moisture is carrying it in, most time our stabilizers aren't proving out for us. However, this is a scenario where if you get to the point where you have to run Y drops and or a Kohler inject and you see dampness on top, that's a case where certain stabilizers could be beneficial for you. I guess we would encourage you to contact us and we'll help you with those choices of products because there's several to pick from. But that's a rare case where we actually would encourage you using them. This corn was just side dressed yesterday with a coulter and a knife. And as you can see, there's no dampness on top. Now this ground is getting hard and we're kind of laying it open, but the knife is deep enough, the soil is covering it, we're getting no dampness on top. We're not concerned in a situation like this. This is the opposite of what I was alluding to. This is a scenario where we're cutting the knife slot, dampness on top. You can see the dampness from the UAN. If that's laying on top, that is subject to risk and subject to loss. If your toolbar is a coulter inject and you have dampness on top, we're suggesting to wait for better conditions or use a urease inhibitor. Ending with herbicides, one of our biggest concerns over the last week has been activation of residuals. We have not had enough rain to activate a lot of our residuals, and that goes for corn and beans both. So corn is our biggest concern today because beans haven't been post-sprayed yet, but a lot of residuals have been put down on corn, and we don't want to miss what's going on. We're seeing seedling giant ragweed, some seedling grasses started.
Thistles are really tough. In addition to the regular activation, you need continued activation. So just because you got a single, if you did catch one of those rains early, you need continued activation or else that residual basically goes to sleep.
Now that we're in the side dress season, side dress is your best opportunity to scout your fields. You'll see every square inch of your field. It's the best time to understand what's going on. We have a lot of opportunity to rescue and clean some fields up. We don't want to wait till corn's chest high and realize, oh man, we got a grass problem or a broadleaf problem, because by then it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I've told some people in the last week or two to sort of think about dragging your feet in the respray as long as you can balance the height and the thickness of those weeds. Because if you go out and spray today and it doesn't rain for another 10 days still, basically you're stuck and that residual is still not working. So you might end up being out there again. So if you can balance that weed height and the pressure with when the next rain's coming, I might think about doing that.
As always, we're here to help. We're only a phone call, text, or email away. There's a lot of stuff going on. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to help.
That's what we're here for.
Do we have to?
Well. Perfect. Don't put this in there.